What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another tutorial by Big Al's Barber channel, guys. We are gonna do a zero taper with a number 2 on the sides, slick back on top. This young man, you can see he came with lots and lots of hair. When you get a lot of hair like this, guys, some people might be overwhelmed on where to even start with this haircut. So what I like to do is I'll get my most strongest machine. This machine that I'm using right here is the Babyliss Snap FX. You could tell that this machine is tried and true with the bulk, because you could tell. Look at how easy it's mowed down through that bulk. So what I'm doing is just running this number 4 clip, and I'm just running it along the bottom, basically just taking all that bulk down. He has a lot of hair. He probably had about maybe 1 inch to 2 inches on the side, maybe 1.5 inches. So basically, I'm just running that 1.5. Running that number 4 all the way up to the parietal ridge, and just going right off the parietal ridge, taking it all down nice and even. I always like to start my haircuts with a number 4, especially when they have a lot of hair like this. Even if this was to be a fade, I would still start with a number 4 right here, just to get everything cleared out and evened out to a level playing field. So really, a number 4 is always a great number to start off on the sides with when they have a lot of hair. It's just like, it just evens out your playing field down to a level where you can see under it. So I always start off with a number 4, and like I said, just go right up the sides, up to the parietal ridge, get it nice and even, nice and clean. This is what I like to consider getting your masterpiece ready right here. Getting it all down and even, nice to even playing field where that you can see what's going on in the haircut. So now that we did the number 4 all the way around, got it all nice and even. What I like to do right here, since his hair is pretty long on top and he's slicking it back, what I like to do is put up a clip right there. I'm gonna try to comb that side down real nice, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up to with my number 2 metal using my Oster octane. Oster octane is a detachable machine. If you guys don't know, if you guys aren't using detachables, you should be using detachables, because if you did this with a plastic number 2, it would not look like this. Trust me when I'm telling you this, guys. A metal 2 and a plastic 2 is 2 different things. And if you want to get advanced and you want to get quick, you want to speed up your haircuts, this is the kind of machines you need to use. You need to use a detachable blade, a number 2 Oster blade. See how it's getting it nice and clean, nice and tight? First I went with a number 4, now I'm going with a number 2. So we brought everything down to a 4, and now I'm coming up and I'm creating a guy line all the way across. Once I created that number 2 guy line all the way around with my metal 2 Oster, now I'm going to grab my Babyliss Gold FX, one of my most faithful trimmers right here, and I'm just going to create my guidelines for my taper. Remember, this is a taper, not a fade. So what I did is I took off the sideburn, went around the ear, and now I'm creating that first line right there. If you guys don't know, back in the day, a taper was called a 2-line taper. Why? Because you did one sideburn, did the other side, and you got 2 lines in the back. That's why it was called a 2-line taper. So you see right here, I'm taking off the sideburn, going around the ear very carefully, and I'm creating that second line right there. Though that line right there, that defined line right there, is what makes your taper pop, guys. If you want your tapers to pop, make that line right behind the ear coming downward. That's the line that you want to make very, very sharp. It's going to look very, very nice. So once you do that side line, then you're going to come back. And all I like to do is make my line in the back. Now this is going to determine whether you want a high taper or low taper. This is kind of like a medium taper. So I'm taking the line up halfway up. Maybe not halfway up to the bottom of this neck. Not very high, because I want to make sure that it's not a very high taper. It's more like a medium low taper in the back. For those of you guys, once we're all lined up all the way around, guys, now what I like to do is I'm going to start my clip rover comb right here. I'm using my Stylecraft Ergo with my Gentleman Republic white comb. And basically what I'm doing is just blending that number 2. Remember, we went with the metal number 2. We started off with a plastic 4, and then we went to a metal number 2. So now I'm just blending that in. I'm blending from that 2 to the 4. Now, there's other ways of doing this. Instead of doing this, if I wanted to, I could have done using clips. I could have gone, 3, 3.5 down to the 2, and it probably would have blended it in. But the point of doing haircuts is to get fast, get quick. The faster you are, the more money you're gonna make. So get fast at doing the things a little bit shortcuts. Clipper over comb is way faster than using clips. So my suggestion to you is learn clipper over comb. There's only one way of learning it, and that's by doing it. Trust me when I'm telling you that. You get good with that clipper over comb, you're gonna speed up your haircuts a lot. Trust me when I'm telling you that. Pull up that hair clip from the other side. Now I'm gonna bust it over on this side. See how I just lifted up the hair? Everything that comes down from that part right there, I'm just gonna blend it all right up. Just using my clipper over comb. Lift up little by little. Start off towards the bottom and go up towards the top. Telling you guys, the key to getting quick is learning clipper over comb. Doing steps is gonna take you forever. And trust me, if you're doing a little kid's not gonna sit there like this guy is sitting there and let you do whatever you want. Take your time with it. Get it perfect. He's not. That's why it's better to learn how to do clipper over comb, speed up your haircuts. Faster haircuts makes you more money and makes you more efficient. We're moving along very quickly right here, guys. We're at the 6-minute point. Now, right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off that sideburn. I already took it off with the trimmer. Now I'm going to blend it out. I'm going to blend it out from a number 2, which we went with the metal 2, remember? Now I'm using my 1 clip open, and I'm blending from the 1.5 to the 2. Then I close my clip. Now it's a 1. Now I take off my clip to the 0 lever open. It's a half, creating a guideline. Now I'm gonna go back with my half clip and blend that in. It's all steps, guys. It's all repetitious. The more haircuts you do, the faster you're gonna get. But I'm telling you, a taper is a fade. A fade is a taper. It's just in a smaller portion. Remember, we went with the number 2 to start off with, so now I'm going in with my 2. And then I'm going to switch out my metal blade to our 1.5 metal blade so that I just get that clean blend right there. Moving along quickly, move over to the other side again. Same thing. We already have a metal 2 right there. Lift up the hair a little bit, get my hair out of the way. Now I'm going to go with my 1 clip, lever open. That's a 1.5, going right up to where the 2 was. Right there, you're going to see me, I drop the lever down. And I'm going to go with to the 1. See, I dropped the lever. Now it's just a 1. Clean it from the bottom up. Take off the clip. Now it's no clip, lever open, which is a half. Clear that up. Take out the bottom line. Put the half clip on. And then hit that center guideline that I created with a half. And there you are. That's how easy it is to blend this out, guys. Now I'm going in with my metal 2 just to meet up to where I went in the last time. Because the metal 2 is what we started off originally. So that's why I'm going back with the metal 2 just to clean it up and make it look nice and tight. Now that we did both sides, now we move along quickly to the back. Same thing. Go back with the number 2 metal first just to blend it up. Remember, we started off with the metal 2. So I'm just cleaning up my canvas right here, making it nice and smooth, nice and clean. Make sure all the little hairs are even. And then I'm going to grab my Stylecraft again. Put my 1 clip on it, and I'm gonna go up about 1 inch and create a nice, it's not really a guideline because that's a 1.5. The 1.5 should blend right into the number 2. Then I'm gonna close my lever and I'm gonna just hit the bottom, just clean up the very bottom, cleaning up that canvas. Again, I'm gonna take off my clip, lever open, which is a half, and I'm gonna create a little small guideline. You could barely, if you can see that guideline, it's very small, very faint. Close my lever halfway, then I'm gonna just focus on that bottom line, just trying to blend it up. Now I have my machine completely closed, just moving around swiftly. I'm gonna put my half clip back on, and I'm gonna work on that line that I created with a half right there. See that? I'm just kind of like fading it up. As I go across, I lower my lever 1/4 way, 1 click, and then I go back and do the same thing. Now I'm moving one more click and it all blends in, guys. That's what a taper is supposed to look like right there. Low taper in the back, low taper on the side, nice and clean. Compared to the 3 inches he came in with, it looks very nice, very tight. Now I'm gonna go back with my Babyliss and see, remember I started off with 2 lines? Remember I told you it was called a 2-line taper? That's 1 line right there, and that's your other line over there. No line in the back, why? Because we faded that line out. That's why it's called a 2-line taper. People don't realize that, but that's what they used to be called back in the day. Now that we're moving along right here, guys, we're gonna work on the top. So what I like to do is first of all, I like to get the hair very wet. When I cut hair on top, I always like to have the hair very moist. So what I'm gonna do is combing it back and just getting a feel for it. He has very, very thick hair on top. You saw when he walked in, he has extremely thick hair on top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna comb back, get the feel for it, thinking, let's see how I'm gonna do this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna part it down the middle. When there's a lot of thick hair and it's long like this on top, and I kind of just wanna level it out, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna part it down the middle, exactly down the middle, create a part line right down the middle. And that way when I part it down the middle, I can see on the sides that the hair is extremely long on the front. So now I'm gonna pull up my first guideline, I'll take off about 1 inch. Go back just a little bit further, take off another inch. Using the same guideline that I started with, I can see it when I pull it up, and I'm just pulling back the same amount. All the way back. Comb back down the other side, keep your hair parted. What I'm gonna do here now is I'm gonna create another part. You can see right there, I'm kind of cutting that side right there, because when I combed it down, there was the hair was still a little bit long. So right there, what I'm doing is making another part. I scoot over, make up another part, maybe 1 inch over, kind of like if I was doing a comb over. And now I'm just gonna hit that parietal ridge. Anything that sticks out over my fingers, I'm gonna cut it off. Just creating a guideline all the way back. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna comb it all back again. Go back to my original part down the center, and I'm gonna work on the other side. Exact same thing. On this side, you're gonna be able to see a little bit better. I'm gonna start off in the front, and I'm gonna pull out 1 inch. First, I always like to keep my hair moist, guys. When I'm cutting with scissors, I like to have the hair. Sometimes I'll put a little bit too much hair, but that's just me. That's the way I like to work. Go back now. I'm gonna take off another inch. Go back, and I'm using the same guideline. When I'm pulling it up, you can't really see right here because his hair is dark, but I'm actually pulling up the guideline that I had just cut, going all the way back. See, I'm gonna comb it over, and if there's that little lip, see right there, boom, just clip it off. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna create that guideline again. Again, the same kind of guideline if you were doing a comb over. If I was doing a comb over, that's where my guideline would be more or less. And see how it's sticking out a little bit? Now I'm gonna come back. Again, creating a guideline. All the way back. Now I'm gonna just comb it all back. And I'm gonna do my crisscross. Crisscrossing is important, guys, because when you're cutting from front to back, it may look good, but you're not really gonna know if it's even until you crisscross your cuts. What I mean by crisscross your cut is you went from front to back. Now I'm gonna cut from one side to the other side. And every time I lift up, man, I'm blocking myself so you really can't see. But when I lift up the hair, I can see what hairs I missed. So that's why I call it a crisscross. I'm crisscrossing my cuts, cutting from front to back, and now I'm cutting from side to side. Just making sure that everything is layered up properly and that there's no hairs that are longer than others. Unfortunately, sometimes, you might think you got that cut right, but you won't be able to tell until they go home and shower. Once they go home and shower and then they try to style it, it's important to try to get that cut as accurate as possible while they're at the shop. There's nothing worse than when a person gets a haircut and then goes home and then they don't come out with the same finish. The end result's always the most important thing, guys. Just remember that. So now that I did the top, now what I like to do is my final, what I call my detail. I like to comb the hair back and I like to see where it lays. Then I'm gonna go back and make sure that my blends are all perfect on the sides. Remember, we started off with a metal 2. So we went with the metal, plastic 4, metal 2. We blended it out with clipper over comb. Now we're slicking it all back, and I just want to make sure that it's all going to lay properly. And I want that blend to look really nice right there around the parietal ridge. See how that's just blended? To me, that's a proper blend right there. It just looks good. So I already did the final step right here. I'm gonna do a lineup on him. He also wants a lineup. So what I'm using right here is I'm using the Supreme trimmer. This is a new trimmer that's out of Supreme trimmer by Barbers, for Barbers. Just getting that corner. See how that corner? I always, when I do my lineups, I'm doing the right side of the head right here. So when I do that, I turn them to the right. Make sure that the client is facing me in that corner. I'll start off in that one corner, do the top first, and then I'll do the side. Once I do that, I'm gonna move my way towards the middle. Just trying to keep a nice, straight, even line. And then I'm gonna flip my machine the other way and make sure that that side is nice and tight. One corner at a time. I don't ever go all the way across the head. It's just the wrong solution right there. Once I'm done with the other side, then I turn them around, spin them around, and I'll do the other side. Same thing. Start in the middle this time, and I work my way towards that corner. Make sure that top line is nice and straight. Sometimes you gotta back up, look at it from a distance. I already got some experience, so I don't really have to do that. But before, I would stand 2-3 feet away just to make sure that that lineup looks straight. There's nothing worse than having a lineup that's not straight, guys. If there's one thing that you really want to perfect, is getting lineups, because lineups is what's going to enhance those haircuts. And there's nothing worse than somebody who's walking around with a crooked lineup. So if you don't know how to do lineups, make sure you get good at them. If you don't, the only one way of getting good at them is just by practicing. At this point, the haircut's pretty much done. All I'm doing now is just doing a little bit of detail work. Every haircut should always get finished by using the straight razor, and especially on a taper. On tapers, I always finish my tapers off, putting a little bit of hot lather around their sideburns and the back of their neck. You know, that feeling of a hot lather touching their skin. That's something that customers are always going to remember. If you're not using hot lather and a straight razor to finish off your haircuts, you're doing yourself an injustice, because you're not giving that client that proper barbershop experience. And remember, when a person comes to a barbershop, it's for the experience. The cut's a bonus. If you do a great cut, that's even better. But if you could give them a great experience, that's what they're going to remember. That's what they're going to come back for. Always be pleasant. Give a good, nice, good haircut, but finish it off with all those detail points, like this right here. Always finish off your haircuts with the straight razor. Once you're done with straight razor, grab your aftershave and give them a nice squirt of aftershave. They're always going to remember how they smell when they come out, and they're nice, clean shaven, and they smell really good. Right here now, I'm moving on to the lineup. Also, the lineup I always finish off with a straight razor. Why? Because I want that lineup to look nice and sharp. I just feel that if you don't finish the lineup with the straight razor, it's not going to come out proper. It's not going to come out looking good. You're always going to have that little bit of what do you call, like 5 o'clock shadow on the forehead. You don't want to see 5 o'clock shadow on the forehead. And a lot of times people skip this part because they're scared to cut the client or nick them or whatever. Can't be scared of that. You're going to nick people no matter what. And how do you stop nicking people is by learning what to do when you do nick them. So don't be scared to use your straight razor. If you're gonna call yourself a barber, you need to be proficient with a straight razor. All haircuts should have some kind of straight razor feel on them, guys. Remember that. Right here, I'm just adding some Gentleman Republic gel on it, slicking it back, finishing off the haircut now. At this point, the haircut is completely done, guys. I'm just kind of doing my last little touch-ups. Put some aftershave, you know. Right here, I'm kind of just blending up, making sure that the taper is nice and clean, that there's no line there. Right there, I saw a little bit of a line, so I went back, touched it up, make sure it looks clean. There, just cleaning it up. Final details. Always take pride in those final details, because if you do that, guys, I'm telling you, your haircuts are going to come out so much better. Right there, I'm just running my Oster again. Remember, going back in reverse order how I started. Always go back in reverse order. If you see a shadow, then go back in reverse order. We started with the number 2, went with the 1.5. You go back in reverse order. Go 1.5, 1, half. Keep going that way, and that haircut will look nice. Alright, that's it for this video, guys. I appreciate everyone watching. Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button. See you guys on the next video. Grind on.